Welcome. It is time to find the perfect McKinney house for sale. That's what we're doing today. I'm going to show you how to analyze the real estate in McKinney. We're going to look at loan options, and we're going to look at the starting point. It was a starting point of a home purchase. So we're gonna get a lot of things done. Sorry, I keep looking down here. I just got to make sure that our audio is working okay. And it is. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to drop them in the chat. I want to provide as much useful information to you as possible. So be pretty generous in the comment section. Also in the like button. The like button does help me out a ton by distributing this out to as many people as possible that actually need this type of information. So if you're looking to buy your first house, your fifth house, or 10th house, there is something here for you. Again, we're going to get into the real estate in McKinney, and we're going to actually do a deep dive on one of these properties that we're going to mock buy. Essentially, I'm going to give you some information to consider through the real estate itself, the numbers, and if they make sense at the end of the day. So again, we're going to purchase that dream home, that perfect house in McKinney, Texas. So that is on the agenda today. All right, so let's dig in. So let's start off where a lot of us start the home buying journey, and that is through the online portal. So you might be on Zillow right now. You might be on Trulia.com. You might be on Redfin. You might be wherever it is that you're getting your property alerts. You're seeing a lot of really cool property, a lot of cool real estate. So that might be you right now. Now, beyond that, we're used to seeing what the home looks like. We might be looking at some numbers that we're tracking along the way. But as far as the breakdown, the next steps, the things to consider, it can be a little bit overwhelming, a little bit confusing if you haven't done this in a while. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this right now. So we're gonna go to McKinney, Texas, because we got to find that perfect house for us at the moment. So with that being said, I'm gonna only focus on single family residences to do this breakdown. Again, we're gonna go into McKinney. I'm gonna give you the 3 things that we focus on whenever we are purchasing a home in any area. So number 1, just let's appreciate where McKinney is. McKinney is in the northern part of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So if you're trying to get to McKinney to Fort Worth, pack a lunch. It's gonna take an hour. It's gonna take a good amount of time for you to get down there in a reasonable amount of time without a ton of commute. So with that being said, we actually need to talk about the first thing to consider whenever you're purchasing a home, and that is, if you haven't locked in on the city itself or the region or the neighborhood that you're trying to buy in, we need to understand what type of commute are we expecting, what type of commute are we comfortable with, right? So if you work from home, maybe commute's not as big of a deal, but if you have to go into the office 3 to 5 times a week, well, commute does become a bigger deal, because not only are you dealing with morning traffic, which can sometimes coincide with rush traffic, meaning rush hour traffic, which means that if you're going the same way that most people are going, then it's going to be quite challenging. So commute is something that we really need to take into consideration, especially as we're looking for areas around town, because real estate, really quality real estate, you're going to find in a lot of areas, especially in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So as an example, if you're looking for a brand new home, there's a ton of new construction going on around the outside of DFW every which way, whether you're over here in Justin, whether you're out here towards Aledo, whether you're in Crowley, Seagoville, Forney, Royce. Like, there is a ton of real estate, and I'm just talking about the outside, but there's a ton of quality real estate available to you. So really understanding the commute, what it looks like, what it needs to look like for you, is super important. So number 1 is looking at the commute. Number 2 is, what type of lifestyle are you looking for? Are you looking for a ton of parks? Are you looking to do a ton of hiking? Are you looking for a lake lifestyle? Are you looking for a ton of coffee shops, a ton of restaurants, a ton of nightlife? What is it that you're looking for when it comes to the type of lifestyle that you're trying to live? Which is going to factor in, especially in McKinney, you're going to see a lot of you see a lot of green already. You're going to see a lot of golf courses. You're going to see plenty of coffee shops, restaurants, high-end restaurants, casual restaurants, a ton of recreation. McKinney is just a phenomenal spot to be if you're looking for that city where you can spend a bit more time outdoors, spend a bit more time out and about doing some level of recreation. So McKinney is known for that. Now, the third thing to consider is the budget, right? Can you afford the McKinney prices? So we were actually going to go through and look at the properties right now to give us a good feel for the type of real estate that's available at this point in time in McKinney. So again, we got to consider the commute. We need to understand what type of lifestyle we're looking for, and then also the budget. What does that need to look like? Those are the three things that we need to look at. All right, so let's dive in. Let's start looking at some real estate and give a good understanding of what type of homes are available in the area, and then we're going to do a deep dive on one of the homes that we identify here. So the lowest price homes in McKinney at this present time, at the time of this recording, is $250,000. So that is an 884 square foot single family, 2-bed, 1-bath. That is the lowest price property in McKinney right now. Now you're gonna notice that there's not a ton of inventory under 300,000. And the type of real estate that you're buying in these price point can lend itself to being more investor style properties where they're selling the prices at this value more of an, I mean, it says right there, this one's fixer upper. So they're being sold at this price. So a lot of us that are looking to purchase in this particular city of McKinney, we're not looking to purchase and then fix up properties. We're looking to purchase and move in without having a ton of rehab, a ton of repairs to be done. So here we're getting into the 300,000s, and check this out. Now, I don't want to give a false illusion or false hope here, but look at this brand new build in McKinney itself. And this also looks a little bit new as well, if not a rehab. So that is a little bit misplaced. If I have, and this either has to be a little bit outside of town or something's going on with that new construction that I'm a little bit it's a little bit suspect there. But you see $345,000. So maybe it's not as uncommon. You're looking at about 350,000. This is also a new construction. So where is this? Let's look at this. Yeah, it's northern. Makes sense. So here, the new communities that you're looking at here at the $350,000 price, you're not in the McKinney. Yes, technically it's McKinney city limits, but then you see this little strip of it's an interesting property line. You see this little strip up here. So you see new construction being built over here out towards Rolling, which makes sense. There's a beautiful master plan community over here that's just phenomenal, incredible. We were there just last week. So over here you see some new construction around the $350,000 mark. So a lot of folks don't really realize, even myself to a certain extent, I didn't realize that they were this low, all things considered, when you're looking at McKinney, but also you are looking at a commute of 15 to 20 minutes to get into downtown, if not more. So if you're comfortable being out a little bit further out than what we would traditionally see McKinney cover, then that might be a good option for you, especially since you're looking at, with new construction, you're looking at incredible warranties. You're looking at, kind of froze here for a little bit. Let me refresh. You're looking at just being able to purchase and moving right on in. All right, so we're not going to go through every single page. Just want to give you a different, a visual of the type of real estate that we're talking about. All right, so new construction. There's a ton of new construction under 400,000. A lot of folks don't realize that in McKinney. So you're still in the 400,000s. Now, one of the places that McKinney is often compared to is Frisco. For the most part, the real estate prices in McKinney are lower than Frisco. Frisco has, I believe, the last time that we did this live stream, but for Frisco, the lowest price property was $350,000. I believe that was accurate. So you have a ton of really, really good looking real estate. Even new, and you're continue to see new construction throughout. But let's I'm gonna go to the very end just to give us a taste of what the high luxury market looks like in McKinney at the moment, and then we're gonna go back and do a calculation. Check out this property. You have your own gate, like security gate. Well, is that no? This is okay. So this is, it's not just for one property; it's for the others as well. What incredible real estate, right? Beautiful homes. All right. So now that we're through dreaming, let's go towards the middle. Let's find a property in right around here, the 500,000s mark. Let's purchase a property in McKinney and look at several things throughout it so we can have a better roadmap on how to purchase a home in McKinney itself. All right, so we're gonna see which one do we want to buy. I haven't done a single story in a while yet, so let's see if we can find a single story. It's gonna be challenging with McKinney because typically with McKinney here, at least in this price point, you're going to see bigger homes. Now this does look like a single story. Even if it's not, we're going to actually attempt to purchase this through our numbers. So let's check this out. All right, so first we're gonna look at some numbers and see what essentially how to break down the information that you get access to through all your online portals. We can clearly see the price at $590,000, which is right around the middle part of right around the average for McKinney. I don't put as much attention in the property description unless there's some information here that I can't see via already predetermined characteristics. So we're going to read through this very, very briefly, and if I see something that's interesting, then we can zero in on it a little bit. So 1-story home in prestigious Stonewood Ranch, bright kitchen with islands, stainless steel appliances, granite countertops, gas cooktop, bar overlook. So that doesn't really tell us too much. That's something that we can see, and in some respects that's something that we can expect at this price point. Huge primary with deep cove, perfect for office or sitting area, enhanced blah blah blah, expansive no step backyard retreat, large flowering arbor with fans, extended driveway perfect for oversized vehicles, additional amenities, hardwood floors, built-ins, gas lock fireplace, crown molding, HVACs, new in 2023. Okay, so this is good to know. We have 20 AC units that were replaced in 2023, and then you have the HOA amenities here. So this lets us know that there's an HOA. Okay, so outside of the adjectives, are they called adjectives? Outside, really, as far as useful information, things that you're going to that you're not going to necessarily see through the images, or you're not going to necessarily see through the information that's already provided through an online portal. Those are two things that I do. One more than anything, just one thing that I would personally find a ton of value in knowing that the HVAC units are new, which this property was built in 1994. So what is that? Is that a 30-year property? Which is about right. So at this point, this would be the first time that the HVAC units, for my money, have been replaced. All right, so let's see. We are 590,000. We are looking at Collin County. Okay, zip code, year built 1994. Again, it's a 30-year property. So at this point, you're looking for possibly updated appliances. Given it's 30 years, you're looking at possibly new HVAC units, which we actually just saw that, or updated units here recently. You're looking for water heaters have been replaced most likely 1 to 2 times at this point. And then if there has been some settlement, if there's been some movement with the foundation where the property needs work, at this point it probably has already come out with and either been addressed or needs to be addressed and would be brought up in a home inspection. So these are a few things that I look for whenever we're looking at 1994 property. When it comes to the roof, given that it held so much here, roofs at this point is probably gone through 2 to 3 roofs altogether as well. So we're also going to be looking at the age of the roof just to see what it looks like. All right, so taxes. Taxes is a good starting point here when it comes to property taxes, but don't get married to this number because chances are you're not going to be paying this price. You're not going to be paying this amount of property taxes because property taxes take the assessed value of the home and also take any exemptions that the homeowner has been taken, along with how aggressive they've been with their property tax protesting, right? So protesting property taxes is something that every single one of us should be doing every single year to reduce this as much as possible. So again, whatever this price is, count on that not being the property taxes that you're paying, because you're most likely going to be paying a different amount. In many cases, you're going to be paying more. And we'll talk about that when we get to the property tax breakdown, where I show you how to calculate the property taxes down to the penny. Price $590, we know that. So there's 4 bedrooms, and this is a single story, remember. If this is single story and it has, 2,900 square feet, it's probably on I was about to say a quarter of an acre, and I couldn't get it out before even showing you. So you have 4 beds, 2 full baths, and so 2.5 baths, square footage 2,861, and on a quarter of an acre. So traditionally, or I shouldn't say traditionally, newer homes right now that are being built, they're being built on 1/8 of an acre, which is 0.125. So this is twice the size. So the lot size is quite good. You're looking at 1/4 of an acre. That's a really good size for the area. The rest of the information right now, this is all pretty standard. You're gonna have composition roof most likely. So most of the homes in the area are composition. You're gonna have central air, central heat. That's not gonna be anything too different. Let's see, appliances, pretty much same thing. Association fees. This is something that we do need to take into consideration when we're looking at a property. So what are you going to pay in homeowners association fees? And in this case, it looks like $953. And most likely this is per year. They'll probably say later on like how often this fee is assessed, but at that price, I'm fairly confident it's going to be per year. It's not going to be a quarterly or a biannual thing. Numbers, garages. So we have a garage. McKinney ISD, that's going to be important for us to know here shortly as we calculate our property taxes. Year built, levels 1, unexempted taxes, we'll subdivide. So the rest of the information is pretty standard. Owner occupant type, owner occupied. In McKinney, you're going to find let me rephrase that. You're going to find a good amount of people that purchase and own the real estate there. So let me see if I can get this city data real quick. Okay, it's going to take me a little bit to pull that up. But here you're going to find, you're going to have a good amount of properties that are being leased as well. But for the most part, you're going to see owner-occupied properties, especially at this price point, because leasing these types of properties is not going to always make sense. So here we see the HOA frequency being annually. So again, we're going to be paying $953 in HOA fees. That's going to be every single year. And the rest of the information is pretty standard and something that we're actually going to see in the pictures themselves. So we're not going to spend too much time there. We're going to get right into the actual visual inspection of it, if you will. But we're going to pull up a website that you're most likely accustomed to seeing, which is our friend Zillow. They have a bit better images. All right, so one of the first things that comes out and jumps out at me is how incredibly well maintained the landscaping is. Now, it's not a shallow thing to make this observation. It's context. It's context to, we're not judging, we're not being mean, we're not trying to be petty, but when it comes to, let me give you the full glory there. When it comes to looking at a property, you need as much context as you possibly can see, because when you go and see a property, keep in mind, you're going to see this property for about 30 minutes, and then if you're lucky and if there's enough time, you might come back later on to see it again before you make an offer. Depending on the real estate market that you find yourself in, you might have to just bank on those 30 minutes and how you feel at that point in time before you actually make an offer. Then you can come back and look at it during an inspection or things of that nature. So before we make a decision of a $600,000 property or $1 million property, we find ourselves having to make a snap decision within 30 to 45 minutes of being within a property. So again, I'm really contextualizing why I pay, why it may seem like I'm pointing out something so trivial and so small, but you have a limited amount of time for you to analyze what the heck is going on with this property. Is this a property that I would ultimately want to purchase? So even before we actually see the property, I encourage my clients to make an observation of the neighborhood that they're driving through. How many cars are in the driveway? Do they appear like they're all running? Are some of them in the yard? What type of, anyway, we can go on and on. So I'll probably make a video on how to see a home altogether, but let's continue. So I see that the landscaping is pretty good here, like fantastic here. It's way better than mine. And the yard is being very well maintained. So I look through and see, hey, how many, do we have gutters? If so, do they look like they're functioning? It looks like we have some gutters here. So far we have some really cool stuff to work with. All right, so now I feel like the images could just kind of, the images went from professional to they're not, they're not raised, like they're not like a taking on a cell phone razor, but they are not as I'm seeing if this was touched up too much. Okay, so these are the same images, but we okay, let's continue. So we do have that crown molding. We have a darker tone when it comes to the paint that we see. So it's going to make it feel a little bit darker when you walk through this property. Now, take note, the carpet is almost like what I call essentially a hotel carpet. I like this carpet because it's less, it's what do you call it? Less fluffy and less cleanup, if you will. So I prefer this type of carpet, but not everybody does. So I like to call that out. So, all right, so we have a little sitting area on the left-hand side. There's a good amount of carpet, so you have a little reception area. Then we have a dining area. Now, again, some of us don't like the carpet being in the dining area. Some of us would rather put some flooring down, but that is an option. That is something that's more of a preference. All right, so we have our granite countertops. So remember, this was built in 1994, and chances are that this was built, so this was 30 years ago. Chances are that this has been updated since then. Now the cabinets do look original, or the shelves. So you have the backsplash back there. Stainless steel appliances, so those were added later. You have a gas range. So this was updated at some point in time. This is not a 30-year. This is not a 30-year old kitchen. And you also have some hardwood floors, good-looking flooring. All right, so over here it looks like the breakfast nook, and then you have the living space over here. Okay. Now again, because you have plenty of windows back here, and even this picture you can kind of see it, but I can guarantee you that when you walk into this property, it's gonna feel a little bit darker. A lot of it's is because of the paint, and yeah, you have a ton of windows back here, so just make note of that. All right, so either I zoomed in or the picture's a bit too zoomed in. Yeah, I'm being critical here. I recognize this, but this property is way too good for it to have this level of pictures. So these were if this was professionally done, then I would not be using that same person. In fact, if I got these pictures, I'm not trying to be critical, but here I am. I'm being critical. It's like saying, hey, I don't want to offend you, but I'm about to offend you. If I received these pictures and I'd paid for these pictures through a professional photographer, I would be finding another photographer pretty quickly, because this is not what I would want to use to represent this type of property. So again, you have that same type of carpet, and it's not for everybody. You're looking at a lighter tone here on the walls as well, though. This is why it appears a bit more like there's more light. The paint has a lot to do with that. But you also, so at some point this was painted, or the outside was painted, the living room and the kitchen was painted a different color. All right, so you have a little sitting area over there. I like that. It's a large primary bedroom. So you have the primary bath. So you're gonna have a shower and a tub, and you have a his and her here. Now this is not granite, and it's also not updated. This is original. These are maybe the fixtures. Yeah, the fixtures are original as well. So the bathrooms have not been updated. So just make note of that. Well, I say that this has not been updated, but this standing shower has, because you would not have this level of a standing shower. So this is at some point was updated, but the bathtub, I can tell you that it wasn't. All right, so you have a primary bedroom. I'm sorry, closet, fairly decent size, good size. A first bedroom. Remember, there's four. Oh, the second bedroom. There's 4 bedrooms here and 2.5 bath. Okay. I know I'm going a little bit quick here, but there's only so much that we can do with the commentary here. Yeah, these pictures were. Maybe I'm just. Something's up. Yeah, these were taken via a phone, and it's unfortunate. Now this is a different unit. So this is not a 30-year-old faucet. So at least that was updated slightly. Well, even then, like the top, like these cabinet, well, these do appear newer, but this does not appear new. That looks original. Let's go back to it. All right. Okay, so you have your garage. It's a little bit larger garage here. We have room for some storage on the side. Okay. Oh, okay. We have a good amount of stonework back here. Fair enough. This looks like a little oasis. We have the pergola and a ton of stonework, so you have a lot of opportunities for you to hang outside. You have some greenery over there. I like the backyard. Very well maintained. And it's an electric gate, it appears. There's a gate somewhere. I don't know where it's at. Is it over here? Ooh, that looks nice. There's a gate, so it must be behind us. Yeah, this looks enclosed. Or unless it's a wraparound. Oh, you know what? The drive-through. No, this is rear entry, isn't it? Yeah, because the front of the property is over there. This is rear entry. So I don't know if there's a gate back here, but going back to the comments on the property description, yeah, they do have a long driveway. And then you have the association pool. That's pretty nice. A little beach out there. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so now that we've done the fun stuff, let's get to some numbers. That's where we want to spend a good amount of our time. We got to buy this property. So we're going to buy this property for $590. And in order for us to do that, we're going to go to our Loan Clarity Advisor tool, which is linked down below for you to check out. This is something you have access to thanks to Win the House You Love, which is a YouTube channel here on YouTube by our good friend Kyle Seagraves. He's a friend of the channel, friend of mine, and we have a really good partnership where he allows us to use this tool internally to help our clients make more informed real estate decisions. So we're going to get into the math right now. Let me know in the chat, what should we offer? Because we're going to offer $590. Maybe I shouldn't have asked that. Let me know in the chat if you would buy and make an offer on this property. That's what I want. So would you buy this property? Let me know in the chat, yes or no, or what you would offer for the property. That would also work as well. All right, so let's see what we got here. All right, so we're going to do some estimates real quick, and we're going to estimate the property taxes, or we're going to go find the property taxes. We're going to estimate the insurance and the HOA. So, well, we know what the HOA is going to be. So we're going to buy this property for $590. Now we got to find the property taxes. Now, as a reminder, this is not really the price that you're going to be paying. This is not really the property tax amount that you're going to be paying. It's going to be different. So we have to find what that property tax rate, the actual rate is, and then we're going to multiply it times the market value, so to give us a conservative cushion. So we're actually not going to be paying the property taxes on the market value. It's the assessed value, which is a percentage of the total amount. We'll get into that here shortly. But first we need to go to McKinney, Texas property tax rate. We're just going to Google this, and we're going to go straight to their website to find what is the property tax rate that we can expect in McKinney. So we're going to click through on McKinney, and hopefully they give us a straight number. All right, they did. Awesome. Something very important to note whenever you're talking about property taxes in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is there's going to be up to 5 numbers that you need to find for your city. In the suburbs, there could be up to 7, but maybe not up to 7. It's also going to be 5, but a different 5. But for the most part, in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, you can look up to 5. You're going to have up to 5 property tax rates in DFW. So regardless of the city that you go with, whether it's Frisco, McKinney, Allen, Plano, Prosper, what have you, you're looking at up to 5. 3 of them are certain. Like, put these in the bank. You have to find these. One is going to be the city tax rate. The second is going to be the county tax rate. The third is going to be the ISD tax rate, so the school district tax rate. Those 3 numbers we cannot run from. We have to find them. 2 additional tax rates that might come up is going to be the higher education tax. So think of community colleges. The 5th one is hospital network. So if you're in Dallas, think of Parkland. You're paying for that. So up to 5. What we're seeing here in the city of McKinney, we have the city tax rate, which is this. We have the ISD. We have the county. And then we also have a higher education, so calling colleges. So we have 4. I don't see, unless they moved it somewhere that we don't have it here, I don't see a hospital network one. So you're off the hook for that. You're not going to be paying that. What we have to do now is we're going to add this 1.7855 to this. So we're going to add those 2 numbers together. 0.4275 plus 1.7855. So our tax rate in property tax rate in McKinney is 2213. So 2.213. 2.213. Now, unfortunately, I cannot get that exact number here. 2.213. So we're going to pretend that that's what this is. Well, you know what? Let's change things up. We can do this manually. Here's what I'll do. I will not use estimates, and I'll show you exact amounts. And we'll say that our monthly tax on this is, assuming this rate, 0.2213 times the market value. Again, we're not paying on market value, we're paying on assessed value, which oftentimes is less. So this realistically would be about 570, 560 or so. in the assessed value front. So you're not going to be paying on all of this. But for our purposes today, we're going to do a conservative number and we're going to multiply times that. All right, so that leaves us with $13,056 in property taxes. Again, we're doing a very conservative number. So I'm going to divide that by 12 to give me my monthly. So my monthly is going to be 0.1088. So that is my monthly tax. Home insurance. What I do with home insurance is I multiply what do I multiply? Sorry, I messed up the other one, so I want to make sure I get this right. Here we go. So what I multiply to get a reasonable monthly insurance premium per year is I multiply 0.75%, again 0.75% times the value of the home. So that's going to be 0.00 because it's 0.75. It's not 75%. So 0.0075 times 590,000, and that is my home insurance yearly premium. I'm going to divide that by 12, and my monthly premium for home insurance is going to be roughly 368, roughly. HOA, we know what the HOA is. It's 965. How much was it? $953. So we're going to go 953 divided by 12. 953 divided by 12. It's going to be 79 bucks. So we're going to put 79 bucks. All right, now we have our numbers. These numbers are going to be important because we're going to be paying, at least these two numbers, we're going to be paying these monthly in our mortgage payment. These two numbers right here. This one, that'll be paid yearly at the beginning of the year. But again, it's important that we know these numbers. Now for us to do a loan breakdown, we got to figure out how we're going to finance this thing. So I'm going to give us 5 different options. I'm going to go with conventional 5%, FHA 5%, and I'm going to go back to conventional because a lot of us do end up going conventional again, but this time 20%. These are the 3 scenarios that we're going to finance ourselves with. Again, conventional, FHA, and conventional, but this time 20% down. Now, when you get a conventional loan, the minimum down payment that you can put down for a conventional is 3%. That would be the minimum. We're going to use 5% because that's what's most common with our clients. Now, you could also do the minimum down payment for FHA at 3.5%. So that's the minimum down payment that you have access to with an FHA product. But here again, since 5% is the most common with our clients, we're going to go with 5% down. And with the conventional, we're going to put 20% down over here as well. So again, this is the same type of loan, except the big difference between option 1 and option 3 is the amount that you're putting down. So as you can see, the down payment on 5% of the home that we're buying at $590,000 in McKinney is about $30,000. And here, same thing with an FHA, about 30. But when you do 20% down, it's $118,000. So that's a big number. I recognize that. Now, if you put less than 20% down on the purchase of this home, you're going to be paying what's called mortgage insurance. So that is anything less than 20% down payment. So anything less than 20% here, you're going to be paying mortgage insurance every single month. Now, with a conventional loan, eventually that mortgage insurance goes away. And I'm going to show you the exact year and month that happens. With an FHA loan, the mortgage insurance never goes away. It'll stay there for the life of that loan. Let's continue. Interest rates, we are going to go find what the average interest rates are. What are the interest rates today? And we're going to go to bank rate to give us a good estimate right now of what's happening on in the market. And it's usually down here somewhere. Here we go. At the time of this recording, which is August 13th, 2024, the current average 30-year fixed is 6.59. So we're going to do the 6.59. Now, of course, since this is an average, some of you are going to have a lower rate, some of you are going to have a higher rate, but depending on when you watch this video is what ultimately is going to factor in how much you pay at the end of the day. Hopefully by the time you're watching this video, the interest rates have dramatically dropped, but it just depends again on timing. All right, so points are essentially you buying down the interest rate, which is another way of saying you prepaying interest. So if you buy down the interest rate, so right now it's 6.59. If you were to buy that down by a point, it could come down to about 6.3 or so, give or take a few decimals here, or a few numbers here. But when you're buying down the interest rate, you're essentially buying down points. Now, a point is essentially 1% of the value of the loan. So if you borrowed $550,000 to buy this house, it would be $5,500 is what the cost for you to buy down that interest rate would be. So again, when you're buying a point, it's 1% of the loan value. And that point is, don't think that it's going to drop an entire point. Like, I know it's a little bit confusing. Don't think that it's going to drop down an entire percentage point. That's not what points mean. So just to give you an idea. For our example, though, we're not going to buy any points. Just going to keep that clean. And for lender fees, we're going to keep clean as well. Now, what I like to encourage our clients to do is, again, this is going to be linked down below so you can get this yourself. But what I like to do is, as you start shopping around for mortgages and lenders, put the exact scenario in. Put in how much they're offering you in interest rate. Put down how much it would cost you to buy down the points or buy down the interest rate. Put down how much their fees are. So you're able to compare like a Chase loan with the Wells Fargo loan, with the cross country loan, with the Rocket mortgage loan, and you're able to compare the loans side by side, apples to apples. And here again, since we're talking about having put less than 20% down on the purchase of this home, we're looking at monthly mortgage insurance of $280 every single month until we pay that off. Or this will go down a little bit, but you'll see that here shortly. If you have extra payments, this is optional, by the way. If you have extra payments, if you want to put a little bit more towards principal, or if you want to pay a lump sum after you get going, you can also do that with this simulation. So that's something that you have access to on each one of the loans. So if you want to do extra monthly payments to calculate how quickly you could finish it off, or a lump sum, you can do that as well. Now, what this will do, this particular tool is going to show you one of many things, but it's going to show you which loan would be less expensive for you. So if you were to go 20% down, it would save you $96,000 within a span of 10 years. Within a span of 30 years, meaning when you paid off the entire loan, it would have saved you almost $200,000 had you gone 20% down. Now here's the reality. Some of us don't have $118,000 to put 20% down on the property, and that's okay. You don't need to. Sometimes it might be best to just get into the property at either the minimum down payment or 5%, whatever you can do to get into a home. That might be the only option that we have, and that's okay. Here we just show you the math of how much it would cost for those of you that are able to and willing to. This is ultimately what it would look like with a 20-year 20% down option. Again, some of us may not have the option of doing 20% down, and that's okay. I completely get it. Just giving you the simulation of what that would look like. Now, this is the loan cost. So over the life of the loan, this is the ultimate cost of so this is the total amount that the loan would cost you. Here in 10 years, if you were to sell as an example after 10 years, this is what the loan would have cost you. Here on the conventional loan, it would have cost you $376. Over here on the FHA 5%, it would have cost you about $10,000 more. On the conventional, you would have paid about $290,000 solely in interest, given that you put 20% down. This again gives you a breakdown of what you would be paying for the loan. This is the loan cost breakdown. Now, pay close attention to the FHA column where you put 5% down. you're going to be paying what's called finance mortgage insurance, which is 1.725 of the loan value. So it's an additional fee on top of the mortgage insurance that you're paying every single month, forever and for always, until you pay off that loan. With conventional, as a reminder, the mortgage insurance that you're paying right now eventually goes away. And here within the first 10 years, it hasn't gone away if we're doing it just based off of math, which I'll show you the break-even point shortly. All right, so let's talk about the monthly payment. Let's look at that first monthly payment, what that would look like. So I'm going to go to year one to show you what that math would look like. If you were to buy this house at $590,000 in McKinney, factoring in the HOA, factoring in the, well, I don't have to include the HOA here, but we do, just so you see it budget-wise, although you're not going to be paying the HOA within the mortgage. Factoring in the homeowner's insurance, the property taxes, the interest, your monthly payment's going to be about $53.91. Over here with an FHA of 5% down, you're paying slightly more, $54.06. And the conventional, you're paying $45.46. So you can see it's substantially lower. But here again, you put a significant amount of money into the deal to begin with. So that's why it's significantly lower. Now, when you're looking at principal versus interest, so again, the payment's going to be, it's going to rise, but what is going to stay the same is the amount of principal plus the interest, meaning once you add them together, the amount is going to be the same. But at the beginning of your loans, you're going to see that the principal is very little is going to the principal, and I mean very little. 6 times as much is going to go to the interest. So the interest is going to get paid off first. I mean, this is just the way that it is. Same thing with FHA, and even if you put 20% down, same thing, right? So most of it's going to go to the principal the interest at the beginning of the loan. Then it's going to start switching. So here we're going to scroll down all the way down to the amortization table and go to conventional 5 to show you this. Remember the payment, these two added together is going to stay the same. Well, $55.76. This is not going to change ever. What is going to change is the rest of the math that I'll show you. But here you see that the first payment, very little goes into the principal. Most of it goes to interest. And as you continue making payments, you're going to see this number, the principal number of how much goes into the principal, rise as this decreases. So which means that more and more starts getting paid into the principal than the actual interest. So we're ultimately at the end of the rainbow, you're paying all of it into the principal, or just about, and very little in interest, because at that point you're at the maturation of the loan. So I just want to call that out because there's a misconception of that. And it's going to pay there's going to be a big illustration here at the end, which is going to show you that difference. All right, so again, we see how much goes to principal, how much goes to interest, at least in year one. And we also see how much you're paying in property taxes. This is something that will rise, just as a heads up. As your home gets more expensive, as you get more and more equity, as the value of your home increases, so will your taxes. Just be aware of that. Homeowners insurance continues to rise. So this too is another number that will go up year over year. Mortgage insurance, this will actually go down. Both on FHA, it'll never go away, but it will go down. And also on the conventional, this will eventually go away. The HOA fees stay pretty stagnant for a while, but they do increase from time to time. And they're also not paid in the mortgage insurance, in the mortgage payment. It's just here for budgetary purposes. Now look at the difference from year one, so $53.91, $54, and $45. Look at the difference between year one and let's say year 14 of that loan. You're paying less in conventional. At that point, you're not paying anything in a mortgage insurance. You're paying a little bit less in FHA, but you're still paying mortgage insurance. And then here again, it goes down slightly. Actually, it stays the same because you're not paying anything into mortgage insurance anyway. And yeah, that would stay the same. And you see the equity, so you get to see at any point in time where you are in equity, at least from a numbers perspective. If you pay more, that will change it. But here you see a year 21 as an example. Under the conventional loan, you will own about 51%. This is not factoring in appreciation, by the way. This is just numbers. Under an FHA loan, you're owning about 50% of the home, and under the conventional, you own about 60%. And here are the loan details. The only thing that I want to show you here, again, this is linked down below for you to check out, or also go to Win the House You Love to get this tool. The only thing I want to call out in the loan details part is this right here. From a math perspective, just going based off of the math, not how the home appreciates over the years, the mortgage insurance would fall off in about 10 years and 5 months under the conventional plan. Here, the FHA loan, it never goes away. And if you put 20% down for a conventional loan, mortgage insurance was never a factor, so you had no mortgage insurance. But here's that, I don't want to call it a break-even point because that's not true. This is where the mortgage insurance falls off from your conventional 5% down. Now, I really like showing this particular breakdown because it really crystallizes the difference between owning a home and renting a home, because we often are faced with that question, should I rent or should I buy? And unfortunately, sometimes we as real estate professionals get a little bit carried away and always have the for sale sign and saying it's always time to buy. And that's not always the reality. So I want to show you a breakdown of what that could look like if you were to rent versus buy. And we're just going to go based off of some assumptions. So let's just say we buy this house at $590,000 today. And in 10 years, which on average, homeowners are going to stay with that home for about 8 to 10 years. So on average, it's about right. After 10 years, we decide to sell. So we have a housing need for the next 10 years. And God willing, if you live beyond that, way more than that. But we have a housing need for the next 10 years. So we're either going to buy a house and be there for the next 10 years, or we're going to rent for the next 10 years. What decision are we going to make? So if we are buying this house and staying in it for 10 years and assume that the appreciation rate of, on average, is going to be about 3%, we can even lower it if we want to, but let's just assume that the rate of the value of our home increases by 3% in appreciation. And our cost to sell at the end of 10 years is, let's say, 5%. This is going to factor in real estate commissions. It's going to factor in title costs, also title work. That's going to factor in possibly repairing a few things here and there. This is going to factor that in. Tax increase per year. Let's say that property taxes continue to rise, which they will. Let's adjust it at 3% a year. Our property taxes are going to continue to rise by 3%. And our homeowner's insurance is going to also rise because that's a reality of the situation. It costs more to insure right now, and it will continue to cost more to insure. So we're going to do with 3%. These are reasonable assumptions. These are not pie in the sky numbers. These are very, very reasonable. And in fact, you can go even more extreme or more conservative, however you want to label that. So you can make the calculation yourself. Again, what we're doing is selling versus renting comparison, and really factoring in as many of the expenses as possible. Over those next 10 years, the cost for your housing, so your housing cost would have been $423,000. Your cost on an FHA loan would have cost, your housing cost would have been $433,000. Your conventional 20% down, the cost would have been $336,000. That would have been your housing expense. So you see here on the appreciation gained, it's going to stay the same. So over those 10 years, your home appreciated by $200,000. The cost to sell was about $40,000 because again, we factored in a 5% cost to sell that house. Our loan cost, how much we paid in interest and fees, would have been $376 here with the conventional. With FHA would have been $386, and with a conventional 20% down would have been $290. Property taxes about $150,000, homeowners insurance about $50,000, and your HOA about $9,500. Now, again, this is your housing cost. This is the expense for those 10 years. I know it's a big number, but at the end of the day, this is what the calculation comes out to. Now, if you compare it towards the rental, if you were renting a similar property at this value of $3,400 a month, you would have been looking at, within those same 10 years, your housing expense being $473,000. If you can find a place to rent a similar property for less, then of course that's going to change it. So that's why we have a little button here that you can adjust it up or down. If you're paying more in rental or if you're paying less in rent, there's something that you can adjust to see what it would cost you year over year to be living in, or your housing expense would ultimately be after those 10 years. And you can make this adjustment on and on. So after 30 years through the life of that loan, you can see that the cost actually doesn't even go as drastic as you would think. You would think that it would quadruple, but you see the huge difference after 30 years of buying a house, how completely upside down it becomes if you rent it instead, right? So you still have a housing need for the next 30 years, assuming you're alive in 30 years. Again, God willing, you are. But here you go. If you're looking at renting a house, that big difference, it essentially accelerates even more to where you're paying $1.9 million for the next 30 years for your housing, as opposed to the $800, $900, and $700,000 from a home ownership perspective. Folks, I appreciate the heck out of you. If you can hit that like button, if you found some value in this video, also let me know in the comment section. That's going to really help out the channel. It's going to really help us grow and reach the people that ultimately could use this information. This is how you find that perfect home in McKinney. This is the scenarios that we present to our clients every single time. If you want to go through your specific scenario and do a deep dive on buying or selling, what that could look like for you in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, our contact information is down below. Make sure you check it out. If there's anything that we can do for you now or in the future, let us know. Outside of that, see you on the next one.